My next guest is a clinical and forensic neuropsychologist and author of Stop Self-Sabotage, 6 Steps to Unlock Your True Motivation, Harness Your Willpower, and Get Out of Your Own Way. She is on a mission to show people they can alter the negative view they have of themselves and rewire their brain to fall in love with who they are as they are. Please welcome Dr. Judy Ho to the Tamron. Thank you so much. I have your book with me right now. It's so fascinating. How do you describe self-sabotage?
Well, self-sabotage, very simply, Tamron, is just when we get in our own way despite our best intentions. And that happens to all of us at least some of the time. We set these goals for ourselves and then something happens, we get derailed, and then we beat ourselves up for it, but nobody talks about the solutions. We use this term self-sabotage often. We say, man, I sabotage my diet, I sabotage this relationship, I sabotage my promotion. But then after that, I feel like people are at a loss for what to do next. And that's why I wrote this book.
It's interesting because of your title. I have to look at it again. It's neuropsychologist. It's like, which made me think, are we wired, are our brains wired to go into that self-doubt area?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad that you brought that up because all human beings have something in common, and that is we really have 2 primary drives. The 2 primary drives are to attain rewards and to avoid threat, and that's it. But sometimes for different reasons, we might prioritize the avoiding threat a little too much. And that's what ends up holding us back. Sometimes it's a subconscious process, but it's universal to all of us. And if that switch gets triggered too quickly, that's when we see self-sabotage the most. And again, like I said, it is a common phenomenon for every single human being.
So it's natural for us to have this self-doubt, but we don't have to constantly have to destroy ourselves to build us back up.
That's right. And this is the problem. I think that sometimes people think that they're motivating themselves by talking critically to themselves. Like, this is going to get me going. This is going to give me that extra push and that willpower. But no, over time, that erodes how you feel about yourself. It dampens your self-esteem. And when your self-esteem is dampened, you're not going to actually believe you deserve good things. And this is where self-sabotage comes in. You're going to put in less effort sometimes. Or when good things happen to you, you'll question them too much. And sometimes then you sabotage that and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that further feeds back on your thoughts about how you're not good enough.
You know, it's funny you say that because I have felt that myself when good things or too many good things happen. I start looking up for the anvil to drop on my head like a cartoon that it's going to happen. This is too good to be true. You have also admitted that you faced feelings of self-doubt in the form of imposter syndrome on your journey as a doctor and a TV personality. What was going on with you?
Well, Tamron, I'm so glad that you shared that about your personal experience because I feel the same way too. I definitely had those self-doubting moments, this feeling of imposter syndrome, even back when I got into college at Berkeley. It was a really competitive school, and I was looking around my first day of school thinking, am I going to be enough? Am I going to be able to compete? Same thing happened when I got into my doctoral program. It was very difficult to get in, and I'm thinking, am I good enough? Am I going to be able to really perform and be able to be the psychologist that I was hoping to be? Even all the way until today, there's still times when I get opportunities that I question whether or not I really deserve it. And if I'm going to be able to stand up and be able to perform the way that I need to show everybody that I deserve this opportunity. And so I think that everybody should know that on their journey, just because it comes back up doesn't mean that you haven't made progress. It's just part of the human phenomenon and brain to question these things, but we just have to be conscious of it and to actually problem solve it in a way that helps you to move forward instead of backward.
Well, I want to get right to your advice. First, question the thought. Take us through how that works.
Well, oftentimes when a thought happens, we believe that it is true or it's going to come true. And that's the way that language works. And so we have to really change the way that we relate to our language. So by questioning your thought, this means not taking it as fact, actually taking a magnifying glass and really looking at the thought. And the way to implement this technique is just to write your thought at the top of a page of paper. And the reason why I ask people to write it down is because it slows your thinking down and you get to really focus. And then you've done the exercise and can go back to it. All you have to do is draw a line. And on the left side of the line, it's evidence for, right side of the line, evidence against. And ask yourself, what's the evidence for and against this thought? And when we say evidence, it's not just another thought that you have. It's actually something that maybe other people could observe. So for example, okay, I didn't get that promotion this year, so that would be evidence for this thought that I'm not going to get promoted ever. But the evidence against is I've gotten 3 solid performance reviews so far, and everybody can see that. Anybody I show that paper to.
Okay, that's a good tip. Next up, modify the thought. How do we modify what we're thinking?
So modifying the thoughts. Once you question the thought and you realize, okay, maybe this thought is not as factual as I thought it was, then it's really important for us to actually try to change your thinking. And I'm not here to preach toxic positivity, Tamron, because that actually does more damage than good sometimes. And especially when you're not feeling good, just giving yourself a bunch of affirmations when you're not in the mood isn't going to work. So my technique here is called yes, but. This means you're going to be more balanced about your thinking. You're going to acknowledge something that maybe isn't going so well, that is making you feel upset, but then acknowledge something that is going okay or something that you're doing to make progress. So for example, man, I really wish I didn't eat 4 slices of chocolate cake when I said I was going to be healthier with my eating this year, but I have been eating really healthfully for the last 2 days, and I can get right back on the next meal. So using this yes, but technique, you actually balance your thinking.
All right, the next one is interesting. De-emphasize the thought's impact. Help me understand what you mean by that.
So de-emphasizing the thought's impact is for those days where you've tried those other 2 techniques we've talked about and you still don't feel great and that thought is still haunting you. Well, then this is the time to actually change your relationship to the thought. Couple of really easy techniques. The first one is just labeling the thought for what it is. It's not a fact. It's a mental event. So try adding this clause in front of your thoughts. I'm having the thought that. So then the original thought of I'm never going to reach my goals, for example, becomes I'm having the thought that I'm not going to reach my goals. This way, it separates you from the thought. It shows that you are the person with agency to notice what's happening and that the thought is not you. It is a separate thing, and you don't have to give it the power that we sometimes do in our heads. Another really easy and fun technique when you have a negative thought is just to change the context around it. When we have negative thinking and it keeps percolating, it just feels like everything is doom and gloom. So try turning on your favorite soundtrack right at that time. It's going to be a really interesting juxtaposition because you're going to have this happy music playing on the one end and then you're having this dark thought. It's not compatible. Or even just singing your negative thought to the tune of Happy Birthday or Three Blind Mice. Try it next time. It'll really work for you because it just allows you to laugh and not take yourself so seriously.
I love that. That even works with kids. My son is 2.5 years old, and there's a song, super simple, the happy song, right in the middle of the tantrum. I turn on the happy song, and I watch it change repeatedly in this kid. So if it can work on him, I'm sure it can work on us. Dr. Judy Ho, thank you so much, and we appreciate your advice. And you can find Dr. Judy's book, Stop Self-Sabotage, wherever books are sold.